Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Hey, Friday on the Sports IQ. I'm Larry Smith. Glad you're here with us. We made it through the week, and man, I was just trying to do the math here. Carry the one, etc. I think this is around episode 160 we have now done here in the year of our Lord 2025, and I think it's the first time we have 4 interview guests in the same show. By the way, hats off to producer Tony and the hard work he does to line all these shows up for us. I tell you what, he is gold, Jerry Gold. He is gold. By the way, it's a Seinfeld reference for those of you who are too young to know Seinfeld. Is that even possible? Anyway, I digress. But anyway, it's been a huge week already for us. If you need to go back this week and get ready for this weekend's games, check out, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're everywhere as a podcast, as well as on radio, wherever you are in Atlanta, Chicago, in Georgia, in Illinois, in Lincoln, Nebraska, wherever you are. We're also on podcast as well. Earlier this week, we talked with UCLA guys about the Bruins' huge win over Penn State. We got ready for Ohio State, Illinois. We got ready for Oregon, Indiana coming up on Saturday, Texas A&M, Florida. And then today we get you ready as well. We have insiders coming up in just a couple of minutes here, both with Alabama and with Missouri. Also, we've got Notre Dame on the docket today, our friend Eric Hansen, and we convinced our buddy Sean Windsor of the Detroit Free Times. He's going to join us talking about tonight's Game 5, Tigers-Mariners. And wait until you hear from Sean his schedule this weekend. If you are a sports fanatic, you are going to hate this guy because he's got a weekend ahead that you could only dream of. He's got to work. He's working. He's a veteran, but it's that alone is worth hanging on to because he's got a very fun travel itinerary for him here this weekend. Okay, let's get to some very quick headlines for you before we get started with these guys. Week 6 in the NFL kicking off last night in the Meadowlands. A rookie coming out party for the Giants. Last week, miscues by rookies Cam Scadaboo and Jackson Dart had a big hand in their loss to New Orleans on the road. Well, last night, those two showed why they're the cornerstones for the Giants' future, combining for 350 of the Giants' 366 yards of total offense as New York shocked the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles 34-17. Dart passing for 195 yards, didn't turn the ball over, also rushed for 58 yards and a score. Scadaboo had 98 yards on the ground and bulldozed his way into the end zone 3 times for New York. The Giants defense also helping out, sacking Jalen Hurts 3 times, 2 by edge rusher Brian Burns, and picked him off once, setting up the Giants' final TD of the night. It was Hurts, just his second interception in his last 15 games. Meanwhile, the baseball team from Philly, not faring any better on the West Coast, needed a win to force a deciding Game 5 back in the city of brotherly love. 1-1, bottom of the 11th, when the Dodgers loaded the bases. Phillies had a reliever, Orion Kerkering, on the mound. Orion Kerkering. Andy Pages at the plate, marred in a 1-for-23 slump. The grounder back to the pitcher, but Kerkering didn't field it clearly. Instead of taking the out at first to end the inning, he throws the ball home, sails it past the catcher. That allows the pinch runner to score the winning run that decided the series. The Dodgers' other run, by the way, came in the bases-loaded walk in the bottom of the 7th. So they score their runs without a hit on a walk and then an error. So LA, the defending World Series champs, moving on to their 8th NLCS in the last 13 seasons. The other NLCS going down in Wrigley yesterday, the Cubs needing a win to force Game 5 as well. Matthew Boyd pitched 2-hit ball into the 5th inning. The Cubs shut down the Brewers for a 6-0 victory to push that National League Division Series all the way to a decisive Game 5 coming up Saturday night in Milwaukee. Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, and Michael Busch all homering for Chicago. Busch going deep for the 2nd time in a row and the 3rd time in the series. And so the Brewers will be sending Jose Quintana to the mound. He has not started a game since September 14th and pitched just 3 innings in that time span. Chicago countering with Shota Imanaga, who is 0-2 in this postseason with an ERA over 8. That comes up Saturday night. By the way, back to Philly. Not only do the Eagles lose, the Phillies get eliminated, but the Flyers lost as well. Sorry. WNBA Friday night. It's game 4 of the finals. Phoenix needing a win. Otherwise, it is the Aces going through and sweeping their way to a third WNBA title in 4 seasons. More college football news right now. And again, one of the big matchups we're watching this weekend is Alabama, number 8 in the country, at an undefeated 14th ranked Missouri team in Columbia. This should be a really good matchup. Looking forward to this. Joining us once again on the show, happy to have him with us, is Collin Gay. He is the Alabama beat writer for the Tuscaloosa News. Collin, good to see you again. Listen, it's funny. This is college football these days, right? I mean, if you lose one game, oh my God, fire the coach. The world is ending. I can't go on. Alabama falls in the opener to a determined Florida State team that we thought was better than their 2-10 record last year. People are saying, oh my goodness, if they lose to Georgia, fire DeBoer. All of a sudden, Alabama's back in the top 10 and now a really good test this weekend against the Tigers.
Yeah. I think walking out of the stadium in Tallahassee, if you would have told me that Alabama is going to be top 10 again and, in the national title conversation, in the SEC title conversation, I would have thought you were crazy. Just because, but then, Ty Simpson becomes comfortable in this offense. Alabama's defense kind of starts to get a little bit of momentum, whether it's with tackles for loss, whether it's with stopping the run, at least in the final 3 quarters against Vanderbilt, that is. And you see a team that, you could talk me into being one of the best in the SEC. And they have the resume already. They have the track record to prove it. It's just kind of doing it on a week in, week out basis against one of the toughest schedules in the country. And you're right. This game against Missouri is no joke, not even close to being a trap game that it could have been a couple years ago.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I want to get into Alabama in a moment here, but I want to also get your thoughts to start here, kind of change things around a bit about Missouri and the job that Eli Drinkwitz has done there. They're one of those programs that we've talked to some other SEC people this week about big games that really can benefit from the expansion and the elimination of divisions. He's come in and put together a very competitive program, and here's a team looking, listen, what a signature win for them, not just for this year, but this program that hasn't done a lot since Gary Pinkel left. If they can get a win here and prove they are one of the possibly elites in the SEC.
Yeah, I think this is the real opportunity, right? I mean, they're 5-0, but there's also a lot of conversation around, okay, who have they done it against, right? And Eli Drinkwitz would be the first one to say that. I asked him on the coach's call yesterday about time of possession. Missouri's time of possession numbers are ridiculous. They're first in the SEC, first nationally. They're first in the SEC above Alabama by maybe 5 minutes. Like it's ridiculous. Like, wow. The best example I can give is they're in the top 10 nationally in time of possession, and all 9 teams in front of them have played 6 games. And it's absurd. But when you ask Eli Drinkwitz about it, it's, we haven't done it against anybody. We had 2 or 3 games against teams that, where our defense could just get 3 and out after 3 and out and hold the ball as long as possible. So even Eli Drinkwitz is looking at this as kind of the first real opportunity to say, okay, this Missouri team has kind of, it's shined in the opportunities that it's been given, but, what can it do against the Alabamas of the world or the top echelon of SEC teams? And they can run the ball. I mean, Ahmad Hardy is a freak. He's a stud. They haven't seen a defense like Alabama yet. Bo Pribula on paper has the skills that Diego Pavia had last week and can run all over Alabama on the outside if he wanted to. He hasn't seen a defense like Alabama yet. So this is kind of the first opportunity at home to be like, okay, is Missouri a contender or are they pretending in this whole wide scale scope of the SEC?
Yeah. And I think that's where I've said so many times here on the show that I love this new world of college football. I've been a college football fan my entire life, but last year and this year, it's just something different where I sit down to watch one game and I wind up watching 3 or 4 because it's such compelling drama. You mentioned Pribula coming over from Penn State. And again, like you said, coming up like Diogo Pavia last week for Vanderbilt, back-to-back weekends against quarterbacks that really have a very special skill set.
Yeah. He was kind of, Pribula was kind of like a change of pace back at Penn State, one that kind of came in, you knew he was going to, he had that run element. And you haven't seen it as much as maybe Pavia was at Vanderbilt over the past, say, year and a half or so. But you have a guy who, Alabama has a reputation for not being the best in terms of, bringing down runners or them being gashed from the outside. And especially against, you saw what, if you combine that with the fact what Missouri can do in terms of time of possession, all it can take is, one drive, right? Like to kind of, set the tone. And if Pribula can consistently generate, 3, 4, 5 yards of carry, match that with 5, 6, 7 from Ahmad Hardy, first down after first down, clock keeps ticking. I could see this one being very, very difficult for Alabama to stop. But again, Missouri hasn't really had an opportunity to face anybody at the level of Alabama. They certainly haven't seen an offense at the level of, Ty Simpson, Jam Miller, Ryan Williams. This is an offense that can kind of match tit for tat what Missouri's been able to do against, teams by themselves. So it'll be interesting to see how, if Alabama can kind of start generating momentum offensively, then and force kind of Missouri to respond, then that's a game that Alabama can win. Now, if it's the opposite, Alabama can keep up with Missouri, but it's one that's kind of like, okay, are they going to have to play catch up? And that's a situation I don't think that Kalen DeBoer wants to be in.
Right, absolutely. Talking with Collin Gay again, Alabama beat writer for the Tuscaloosa News. Let's talk about this Crimson Tide now, kind of going back to the original thought. What's gone on with this program? What's happened with this team since the Florida State loss? They've really bounced back. I thought the win against Georgia, from my perspective, was a real statement game. These are two titans in the SEC. They play back-to-back years. Imagine that. Hasn't happened in more than a decade. But I thought that was a really big, and I think as we get to the end of the season, if Alabama does go on to the playoffs, which it would appear at the moment they will, but who knows what's going to happen, I think that's a game I would look at as a turning point in this season for the Tide. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if you put it in the larger context, right? I think the combination of the Georgia win, being on the road, top, against a top 3 team, high stakes environment. Alabama doesn't win on the road against SEC teams. That combination, along with, I think if you put it together with Vanderbilt and the response game, because, look at 2024, they beat Georgia last year. They beat Georgia by more in Athens, but they beat Georgia last year. They were kind of high and mighty coming off the Georgia game. And we're, the best, and we're going to go all the way, and Jalen Milroe is going to lead us to glory. No, they got stomped and silenced in Nashville. Now you see a combination of post-game Georgia saying, we haven't done anything yet. And then going into Vanderbilt with all the talk about Diego Pavia and very, very, very confident Cedric Alexander. And you see an Alabama team that goes in and, plays their game, plays honestly a Vanderbilt style of offense and says, okay, we're gonna dominate you. The score might not indicate it, but we're gonna cover, we're gonna dominate. I think that combination kind of tells the story of Alabama, where it's one of, no matter the score, you saw this against ULM, you saw this against Wisconsin, kind of leading up into Georgia. This is a team that's not satisfied with a win. They're not satisfied with the road win against Georgia. They're not satisfied with their home win against Vanderbilt, the response game, the first of 3 from 2024. This is a team that's kind of we haven't done anything yet until, an SEC championship or a college football playoff spot, something that, because they know that, that opportunity can be taken away in an instant. That opportunity may not has the chance of not being even up to them, right? Unless they control it. Look at SMU last year, right? So I think this is, once, the time comes, I think Alabama's, continuing to kind of push the pedal down and kind of not worry about, anything. At least this is what we're being told, right? I think they're impressed with themselves after Georgia, after Vanderbilt, but, they're kind of, all full steam ahead until, it really matters, and that's college football playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's a great maturation there, like you said, and for DeBoer and the coaching staff to kind of sit back and just take this a week at a time. And you have to with the schedule that Alabama has this year, as we've talked before. Alabama, an SEC schedule that every single week is a team either ranked or one that has been ranked this season. It's unbelievable what they have. Collin, we will leave it there, and we know you got other stuff you have to do, so we appreciate you squeezing out a few minutes for us. Enjoy the game, and hopefully we will. I'm sure we'll be talking later. Hopefully we can find time in your schedule to have you back on the show again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Okay, Collin Gay, once again, he is the Alabama beat writer for the Tuscaloosa News. Big game this weekend. Alabama at Missouri. Another big matchup in the SEC. Okay, we've got more to come. Keep it here.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. Let's continue that conversation about what's happening in Columbia on Saturday. Producer Tony, how's our next guest?
Thanks so much, Larry. Really appreciate it. And, one of the bigger games, obviously, this weekend in the SEC features Missouri taking on Alabama. And we are lucky enough to be joined by Callum McAndrew. He is with the Columbia Daily Tribune talking about the ball game here from the Missouri point. He is the Missouri beat writer. So, Callum, let's kind of dive into this so much. How key is a game like this to Missouri? What would it mean to them to beat a program like Alabama?
Yeah, I think you're at that sort of inflection point of this Missouri program where they have been really a good team for the past 2.5 years. I mean, since the start of the 2023 season, Coach Drinkwitz has taken this from a pretty perennial 6-6 team, in the past decade, to a team that has won back-to-back double-digit win seasons. That they've gone 11-2, they've gone 10-3, they're 26-5 since the beginning of the 2023 season, but they're still missing that one game that gets them over the hump from good to great. That's really kind of where we are, I think, in Missouri's trajectory as a program. It is everything. It is absolutely everything. You're talking about a team that really does have college football playoff aspirations this season, but you're not going to get there if you can't get over. For instance, last season, they got blown out at Texas A&M in their first chance at a big team, at a big win. They went to Alabama pretty banged up, got shut out. Those types of games, those blue bloods, those big dogs that you want to take down if you want to get to where you want to go. This is one of those games. And this is a really good opportunity because from what we've seen, this looks like a pretty good Mizzou team. This looks like a pretty decent side that they've put together with some good portal parts, some good returning pieces, an incredible running game. So we'll see. I mean, it is everything to them if they can get over the line and go start their season 6-0 with a win over Alabama. You're going to start to get some national love at that point.
And that's really the key, is getting that national love. There are 3 games this weekend that feature teams trying to get over that hump, get into that national discussion. Missouri taking on Alabama. Alabama, clearly the blue blood. Illinois is going to play number 1 Ohio State this weekend. That's huge for an Illinois team that wants to be considered in that upper rank. Indiana traveling out to Oregon. Obviously, Indiana needs that win to get them over the hump. So that brings some added pressure to these teams, right? Is it harder for the underdog team to really kind of capture that mentality of, we can play with these guys, we can do this? Is that up to the coaching staff to instill that in them as we head into these weeks?
Well, I think, from Missouri's perspective, I think that I think they have a pretty good idea that they can play with these teams. I think that I don't think they're under any notion that they can't go out there and beat Alabama. I mean, we saw that Alabama's beatable. Now, I don't think Alabama is by any means the same team that they were in week one. I mean, we've got enough proof from the last 4 or 5 weeks now that this is not the Alabama team that went to Florida State and got run off the field. But I think this, you look at what Missouri does well, I think there's definitely, I mean, you're talking about one of the best running teams in the nation. That's on both sides of the ball. They stop the run incredibly well. They get pressure on the quarterback incredibly well. And Ahmad Hardy is probably at this point the nation's best running back. I mean, you look at these after contact numbers, there's only 7 running backs in the country that have more total yards. Really incredible statistics. So what Missouri does well, I think, will keep it in and keep it competitive in a majority of games it faces. So I don't think they need any extra giddy up this week to go out there and play Alabama. I think they believe that they can hang in a game like this.
Is that one of the keys for them, is to control that clock, keep the Alabama offense off the field, make them feel a little more nervous when they do get on the field? Like, if you give the ball right back to us, we're going to take another 6-7 minutes off the clock. Is it key for them to establish that running game against Alabama and keep it going throughout?
Yes, absolutely. It was something that the Eli Drinkwitz got asked about this week, and he kind of talked about you don't go into a game thinking we're going to control the clock today. Like we're going to have 38 minutes of possession today, and no, you kind of take what defenses give you, and there's some common ground there, because if you're putting together these 9-minute drives, that means you're probably establishing the run really well, but it also probably means you aren't hitting on many explosive plays. So there's good and bad to controlling the clock there. I think Missouri would like to have a little bit of a combination of both. I think they would like to be able to get the passing game going a little bit, but obviously the centerpiece, the cornerstone of everything that they do is Ahmad Hardy, it's Jamal Roberts is a really good backup, and it's Bo Perbula in what he can do as a runner, what we saw he can do as a runner at Penn State last season. I think they would absolutely like to burn as much clock as you can. This is a very dynamic, efficient Alabama team. They can carve you apart in zone coverage, something that Missouri has had a lot of problems with. If they get the ball, they are always a threat to score. So I think Missouri would like to milk and make the most of the clock as they can. I think that would make a lot of sense for them. And it's also just what they're really good at. It is the centerpiece. It is the cornerstone of what they do. So it would make sense if they would approach this game in that fashion.
We've seen Ty Simpson grow each week as a quarterback in the Alabama system. Mm-hmm. How important is it going to be for Missouri to maybe give him a little bit of happy feet? How important is that front seven going to be, putting pressure on him to maybe take some of the pressure off the back 4 or 5?
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where, you kind of have to be careful with what you do with Ty Simpson there as well, because if you just start sending numbers, he's going to pick you off in one-on-one matchups. Like he showed against Vanderbilt that he was very, very efficient at that. That they could take those underneath routes, that he could find the space in zone coverage to beat you that way. So you don't want to send the house all the time and try and just only impact him that way. Now, Missouri has been good at getting pressure without sending without sending huge blitz packages. They've got 2 very efficient defensive ends in Zion Young and Damon Wilson. They absolutely will be trying to get pressure on Ty Simpson, but I think Missouri has to be a little bit more cautious, because I think the weakness that we've seen from them so far is discipline in zone coverage. So I think that they maybe have to be a little bit more lenient on their back end rather than sending the house up front. I think they have to be a little bit more cognizant of what they're doing in the secondary to guard against getting picked apart, which Ty Simpson absolutely can do. From what I've seen, a really efficient quarterback.
Does Ryan Williams present a special kind of challenge? I mean, he has got game-breaking speed out there on the outside. Would it be better to play him in a zone as opposed to a man-to-man coverage, do you think?
Well, you do that, and then you've got Jeremy Bernard, who's just an incredible talent as well, and I think probably the most reliable receiver in that Alabama offense as well. I think somebody that Ryan Grubb really, really seems to trust to when they need a big play, they seem to be going his way quite a lot. So yeah, it's very much a pick your poison type of deal. Obviously, I think Ryan Williams' speed is absolutely the big thing here. I mean, Missouri their biggest problem has been eye discipline in zone coverage. So the little bit focusing on the backfield a little bit too long, getting drawn in by underneath routes, getting drawn in by play action passes, and not recognizing when a play is developing behind them. And that's something Ryan Williams can absolutely do to you and can really hurt you. Wouldn't surprise me if it showed up this weekend and Alabama breaks away for a 40, 50, 60, chunk play touchdown. It's something that has hurt Missouri before. Now, they've had a few weeks to work on it. We saw it popped up against South Carolina in week 4, which is essentially 3 weeks ago at this point. So they've had some time to work on it. We'll see if they've managed to fix that problem, because it's going to be paramount, not just this week. I mean, Ryan Williams, but then you're looking at down the line for Missouri. They've got Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion coming. They've got Junior Sherrill at Vanderbilt. They've got Eric Singleton at Auburn. I mean, the receivers just don't stop coming, so they do have to fix that, and we'll see how much better they've got this weekend for sure when Ryan Williams is in town.
And that's the key thing about this SEC is each week brings a new challenge. Once you get into conference play, there are really no more off weeks for Missouri. You can't look past anybody, and you've got to be able to play and ready to play each Saturday.
Oh, 100%. I mean, a lot of people talked about at the start of the season that Missouri's schedule was comparatively easy. I don't think it really looks that way anymore. Now that what we've seen out of Oklahoma, that is not last year's Oklahoma. This is a much better team. The Auburn can hurt you on any given day. I know they haven't had the start of the season that they want, but they've got weapons left, right, and center that can hurt you, especially in Jordan Hare. Mississippi State looks a lot better than they were at the start of the season. Arkansas is going through a coaching change. That could be anything by the time Mizzou plays them in late November. It is unrelenting.
So how many, if you were like looking at this, how many big plays do you think Missouri has to get this one? Because big plays are changing, sure, game-changing plays. How many do you think they need to get to make that change?
I don't know really if you can put a number on it. You would like Ahmad Hardy and Jamal Roberts too, and that is what Missouri is really, really good at. And I was listening to Kane Womack's press conference, I guess on Monday, and he was saying it's kind of what Mizzou does. It's like a boxing match. You go in the ring and you take these body blows, you take these hits, and then suddenly, after Ahmad Hardy's been bouncing and pinballing his way off with some people, he breaks away for a 30-40 yard run. It's what Missouri does really, really well. They kind of just grind you down in the run game until one of these guys who do have explosive speed can pull away from you. So I think that's where they would like to find it. I think that's, they've got some good options at receiver. Bo Perbula's been an incredibly accurate passer so far, way more accurate than I think anyone thought he would be coming in. But it really is the run game where Missouri's going to look for those chunk plays, those explosive plays that can turn the game.
Missouri, Alabama coming up this Saturday. Callum McAndrew, thank you so much for joining us, giving us this insight into the Missouri team. It could be one of those interesting games. You've got that ground team. It could be almost like old-fashioned football. Eat it up 3, 4, 5 yards a carry and carry that team on the backs of those two running backs to victory. Would be very interesting to see.
It's going to be a huge game for Missouri. I think it's one of the biggest games that they've played in Columbia in maybe nearly a decade. So I'm really excited to go cover it. I think it's going to be a fun one.
Callum McAndrew, thank you so much. Columbia Daily Tribune, really appreciate your time and taking the time to talk with us and give us this insight into Missouri. Enjoy the game Saturday.
Thank you very much.
We will be right back after a quick timeout.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth worth it? If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-373-8414. 800-373-8414. 800-373-8414. That's 800-373-8414.
Are you tired of your website making your business look bad? Is your current web developer dropping the ball? Let's face it, if your website isn't making you money, it's broken. Let Neon Rain create a website that turns your visitors into customers. Neon Rain has worked with hundreds of businesses across North America, building custom websites and applications with modern designs that are easy to update and work well on mobile devices. They can do it for you too. What sets Neon Rain apart? They actually deliver on their promises. Call today for a free consultation. 303-957-3092. That's Neon Rain at 303-957-3092. Or visit them at neonrain.com.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Another game this weekend we're watching here in the Sports IQ. Notre Dame at home against NC State. The Irish, the 0-2 start, but, we never got worried. It was two fantastic games to start. That's okay. Back on the show to talk more about the Irish is our friend Eric Hansen. Again, he's the senior writer for blueandgold.com. Eric, we were talking here in the break, heading into this game against the Wolfpack, about your quarterback, CJ Carr. Ever since that first game on that first night, the redshirt freshman losing a close game at Miami, we see now what the Hurricanes have done this year. He has been, in our opinion, exceptional for a kid who's just starting in his first month as a starting quarterback on this level.
Yeah, in the Miami game, we really saw the poise, and since that time, we've seen the poise and the production. And right now, he's ninth in the country in pass efficiency. The last Notre Dame quarterback to finish in the top 10 was Jimmy Clausen back in 2009.
Wow.
CJ's also about 17 points higher in his pass efficiency rating than the single season school record right now. So if he can maintain that or improve it, then he'll be in the record books. But I think the biggest thing that he's done that maybe people on the outside looking in don't realize is how good he is at this young age at the line of scrimmage. And he's gotten better each game. When you look at their offensive line improvement, a lot of that is because he's sliding protections, and he's also checking out a bad place into good ones into great ones. And I think when the competition between Kenny Minchey and CJ Carr came down, Kenny Minchey could win a lot of games for a lot of teams, but that was the big differentiator, was CJ's ability to manipulate things at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and I think the benefit, too, having that strong running game. We talk about Carr, but also Jeremiah Love, the great start, over 400 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns already. It just feels like that Notre Dame has this nice nucleus to build around and the skill positions here moving forward.
They do. When you let's talk about the running backs, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Typically Notre Dame has gone even deeper than that. They've really been a two-headed monster most of this year. And right now, when you look at the national scoring per game, they're tied for third. So they're both super productive. They give you a little bit different looks. But this is a real handful because you say, well, maybe Jeremiah Love gets tired. Yeah, you throw Jadarian Price in there and you're in trouble again. Eli Reardon has been a really good tight end. He's kind of fit the profile of tight end that Notre Dame likes to refer to itself. He's stepped up this season. But I think a big differentiator, when you saw the Ohio State championship game last year, that was one of the position groups where you say, wow, there is a cliff of a difference between Ohio State's receivers and Notre Dame's receivers. And I'm not saying Notre Dame is in their class, but when Notre Dame fans look at this group, they say, this is the best wide receiver group collectively since, and you get maybe Will Fuller and his group in 2015. You may have to go all the way back to Michael Floyd, Golden Tate in 2008, 2009. So that's been a big improvement. And then with a quarterback that knows how to get them the ball is huge.
Yeah. Coming out the big win against Boise State last week, 28-7. That was, I thought, just a very Boise State has been one of the top programs for a long time. What did that win mean to get that done in that fashion?
I think it meant a lot that the defense had to carry them a lot of the game. Notre Dame was getting yards, but they were missing on some fourth down conversions, missed a couple touchdowns opportunities there. And the defense, it was a game where had Boise, been how Boise usually is on offense, that would have been a problem. But Notre Dame's defense has taken a big step forward the last couple weeks against really good offenses. Arkansas, I think, is, with all the problems they have in getting their coach fired, there's nothing wrong with their offense.
Yeah.
And so for Notre Dame's defense to say, we're going to be part of this journey too, that's important, because if they can get to the playoff, they're going to face teams where they need to be really good on both sides of the ball, not just outscore people.
Yeah. This week it's NC State, a team that, again, Irish are favored.
Speaking of outscoring people.
That's exactly. I was going to say the defense peaking comes at the right time with the Wolfpack coming in.
It does, because CJ Bailey is another handful. Notre Dame has an inordinate amount of really good passing offenses they're seeing this year. And he's one of them. And then they have Hollywood Smothers, a sophomore running back, who I think is first in the country in yards after contact, and he's, I think, sixth in yards per game. So they've got a really good tight end in Joe Lee. They've got Terrell Anderson at wide receiver is a matchup problem. So they're a team that can score a lot of points. What their problem has been is giving up lots of points. And they've had some personal tragedy. Their defensive coordinator lost his daughter a couple of weeks ago, didn't coach in the Virginia Tech game that they lost. But they give up. I was watching this on the Pro Football Focus channel today. They have given up more yards after contact to runners than any Power 4 team in the country. And that's a problem when you're facing Love and Price. So I would, we thought the Boise State game was going to be higher scoring. I think Notre Dame is probably going to get up into the 40s with its scoring on Saturday. I would be surprised if they weren't there.
Yeah, that was unusual to score just 28 points, as you said, in that contest. NC State this week, USC next week, but and that'll be a tough, a team that scores a lot, high scoring. Maeva's done a great job there with Lemon. He and Lemon connecting on that quarterback receiver combination. You look at these games though down the stretch, and these are all winnable games now for Notre Dame. Do you feel the Irish are where they would like to be right now in the season, from when they started back in week one?
I think so. I think it's more things in the margins, which is one of the things that they were really good at last year. For example, they were 8th in the country in fourth down conversions last year, and one of the reasons was Riley Leonard was kind of automatic. They're 117th this year. They need to get better in their fourth down conversions as much as they go for it. They've had some kicking adventures. Their starting kicker has missed 2 out of the last 3 games with a hip injury. He's a little bit iffy for this game. Noah Burnett, they think he's going to go, but they've only tried 4 field goals this year, and their longest is 39 yards. And if you get into a tight game, you're going to need to get those points. That's one of the reasons they didn't score more against Boise. They could have kicked a couple of field goals, and that's a wider margin, especially when Boise hadn't been, put away yet. So just little things like that, I think, are the biggest concerns. And then keep that defensive evolution coming. The players are finally getting used to Chris Ash's scheme. Marcus Freeman's gotten involved somewhat, and they've simplified it. But there's still some, they've had some health issues. Their nickel's not going to play in this game. Devontae Smith, the transfer from Alabama. So they have a true freshman playing nickel. That's not as scary this week as it would be against USC next week. So they're hoping to get him back. Yeah,
USC again is going to be a challenge. I don't want to get too far ahead, but we, as in our side of the ledger, we can do this. I look down the stretch. Syracuse is a competitive team. Pittsburgh, Navy's competitive, but you're not playing those top 10 teams like you did early on with Miami and Texas A&M. Do you concern at all of any kind of letdown into the season if they start going out and blowing these teams out by 25, 30 points?
I don't think so. From the standpoint, they know their backs against the wall, that if they lose another game, they're in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. There's no more college football playoff talk. I don't think there's a scenario that would get them in the playoff at 9-3 with a loss, especially the later in the season that it might come. It's just a hard sell. So I don't think it's going to be a mental letdown. Where I think it gets a little bit sticky in November for them is the Navy-Pittsburgh back-to-back. Navy is undefeated and probably will be when they play Notre Dame. And that's always kind of a schematic curveball. You're going from USC and Boston College that throw the ball a lot to Navy that runs it and is really sneaky with their throws. Then you have to flip back and go to Pittsburgh on the road and go back to a conventional offense where they throw the ball a lot. I think that's a difficult gear shift for a defense to make. I'm not saying that they would lose those games, but those are the ones where they have to be careful.
Yeah. No, that answers my question in terms of just the tricky things ahead as you see it. Well, it should be a good game this weekend here. Again, like you said, we've never panicked at Sports IQ with Notre Dame. They lost to two ranked teams, but boy, both were really good games. Some of the more entertaining games we saw in the first 2 weeks, honestly. And now we have this weekend here, NC State coming in, 3:30 Eastern kick. Then that game, by the way, is on Peacock, not on NBC. Eric, always good to talk with you. Enjoy the games, my friend. And it's the Irish. We'll be calling again to talk about Notre Dame football.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thanks so much. Eric Hansen, once again, he is joining us, a good friend of the show, senior writer for blueandgold.com. Notre Dame hosting NC State this weekend on Saturday again on Peacock. Okay, we've got much more to come. We'll talk a little baseball up next. Tigers, Mariners, Game 5 here on the Sports IQ.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with sign agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. That's 800-613-8053.
There's nothing more fun than going boating with friends.
We were all out having a good time when all of a sudden, my best friend's hat flew off, and without thinking, he jumped in the water to retrieve it. When we turned the boat around, he seemed to be struggling to keep his head above the water. We all started yelling, "Pull the cord! Pull the cord!"
I pulled the cord and my life was saved. I was wearing a belt-type inflatable life jacket. The wisest decision I ever made.
Life jackets worn, nobody mourns. Learn more at pleasewearit.com.
Hey, we definitely want to get into baseball talk. Big Game 5 tonight is Detroit at Seattle. And joining us again on the show, we're so thrilled he spends a few minutes with us here as he is a very busy man. Sean Windsor, the columnist for the Detroit Free Press. Sean, what an up-and-down season. We talked to you earlier in the year. The Tigers were just going like gangbusters. Didn't have so hot a September, but here they are right now. A win tonight, and they can move on to the ALCS.
It's really something there in this. It's funny because a couple of weeks ago, it was crazy they were in the position they were in, and then maybe even a week ago, and then a couple of days ago, you're thinking, okay, are they even going to get back to Seattle? So no, it's been. I mean, they had the best record in baseball at one point back in late June, early July, and had a 15 game division lead at one point in the Central Division. Actually, that's not true. That was over Cleveland. I think they had a 14 game lead over maybe Kansas City, who snuck past Cleveland there. But yeah, the way they collapsed down the stretch was really, really something. And, had to win a couple of tough games, one in Boston, a couple in Cleveland to get to this point. But yeah, it's crazy. Now Derek Scooble's on the mound, and they're a game away from the ALCS. We'll see what happens.
I was good. That was good. My next point there was that if you have to be in this position, Game 5, winner moves on, loser goes home. No better guy to have than your Cy Young Award winner in Skubal on the mound for you.
No, that's true. The only quirk is, and maybe it's not a quirk, it's just, who knows, maybe it's just the way his release matches up with Seattle's lineup. But Seattle, Skubal pitched in Game 2 and pitched pretty well. He went with 7 innings, gave a couple of runs and 2 home runs to Jorge Polanco. But Seattle beat him twice in the regular season. They didn't, light him up. But I want to say he gave up 7 runs over 2 games, 2 starts, maybe in 10 innings and 10 hits, something like that. So it not Tarek Skubal stuff. So Seattle's manager, Dan Wilson, even mentioned the other day, said, hey, we've kind of figured him out so far. Let's see if we can do it again. So that's a little bit of a quirk.
Yeah. What is it about these Tigers right now? Almost like they have to have their backs against the wall. You mentioned last week they get the 2 wins in Cleveland to get to this point, and then again come out with the 11th inning loss in Game 1 against Seattle, but they fought their way back. Is it almost like they have to almost have the threat of it all being over to play good baseball?
I mean, it's funny because they handle it, that specific pressure of the season, at least so far this year, they have when the season's absolutely in the balance. They've handled that pretty well, but they did not handle. And their general manager, president of baseball operations, Scott Harris, talked about this a couple times. It's a relatively young team, and even though they made the playoffs a year ago, they were kind of the Cleveland story a year ago, right? They went on this crazy run to even sneak into the wild card, and they were kind of playing free and loose. This year, they get into September with a 9-10 game lead. They hadn't been in that position before, and they didn't handle it very well. And one loss sort of bleeds into another loss. And I know momentum in baseball is kind of a tricky thing. Jim Leyland, a former Tigers manager, a longtime Pittsburgh Pirates manager, won the World Series with Florida, used to say momentum in baseball is your the next day starting pitcher, and there's truth to that. But for the hitters, it can be, to use a cliche, contagious a little bit, but it can go the other way. And I just think the pressure as that lead started to shrink in September against Cleveland, the divisional lead, kind of started to get to them, and they just the at bats, they started flailing and chasing and not looking at all like the hitters they had the first 90-100 games of the season.
Yeah. Well, Game 5 tonight, it's Detroit at Seattle. What's your key to success tonight for the Tigers?
Well, Skubal is his. I mean, if he pitches even like he did in Game 2, where he gave up 2 solo shots. Excuse me. If he can go 7 innings and not give up more than 2 runs, then the Tigers have a chance. To me, so you got to start there. If they're going to figure him out like they did earlier in the season, then that's a different story. What's interesting too is that Skubal was in this very same spot a year ago, Game 5 on the road, ALDS at Cleveland, gave up the grand slam. And, that's in the back of his mind, I'm sure. He didn't want to talk about it necessarily on after the Tigers won Game 4. But, he's got a little something to prove, I think, there. I think he welcomes this chance. But assuming that he is at least going to be as good as he was in Game 2, I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll go out and put a dominant effort out there. But the bats have to kind of do what they did in Game 4, where you're controlling the strike zone a little bit, relax. I think that the key is to relax, and like we talked about earlier, they seem to do that in the highest leverage situations, at least right now. So that's the key. Can they get up there and not chase? And if they do, they'll give themselves a reasonable chance to win.
Yeah. Before we came on here, you were telling us your itinerary. It is a sports fan's dream, even though it's hard work for you this weekend. You're in Seattle now, here on Friday, and then tomorrow you head to L.A.?
I do. LAX in the morning, and then I'll get my bag and get a rental car and drive straight to the Coliseum for Michigan USC, which is I want to say it's a 4:30 kick local time, 7:30 back in Michigan and back in the Eastern Zone. And then, I'll work, and then get up early Sunday morning and fly from LA to Kansas City for the Kansas City Chiefs Detroit Lions Sunday night primetime game.
Awesome. Well, listen, you and I both know it's a lot of work and a crazy weekend, but you know what? It's a labor of love, and you do it so well. And so enjoy the safe travels, enjoy the games, enjoy the weekend. We can't wait to see your work, and hopefully we'll talk with you soon.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, my friend. Thanks so much. Sean went once again, columnist for the Detroit Free Press with a very busy weekend beginning tonight. Game 5, winner take all, ALDS. It is Detroit at Seattle. Okay, we've got more to come. Stay here.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're going to love it, and you're going to love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. That's 800-215-0341.
Let's finish off with a moment of awe and really just a moment of tribute, if you will. You may have heard that Sister Jean, who became famous during Loyola's miracle run to the Final Four a few years ago, passed away overnight at the age of 106. She just retired from her post there at Loyola just last month. It wasn't that long ago. Was at the school for more than 60 years, longtime chaplain of the men's basketball team. And she was always right there courtside in her wheelchair. She actually joined the order back in 1937 at the age of 18, and then joined the staff of Loyola Chicago in 1999. Sister Jean passing away at the age of 106. As they say, job well done, life well lived for Sister Jean. Hey, we appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate all of our guests this week. Oh my goodness, just was crazy. We'll talk the Bill Belichick story on Monday and get the very latest on that. Woo! Enjoy the weekend. Get out there and have fun in the sun. Hopefully you you enjoy the ball games as well. I'm Larry Smith for Tony Cordero and Josh Ewing. We say thanks, be safe, and we'll see you Monday.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.